Yes, lads, what is going on? And welcome to Season 4, Episode 13 of The Running Irishman. In this episode, we are joined by Israel Olatunde. I'm really looking forward for you all to give this episode a listen, because me and Israel have an amazing chat about his, really, impressive career up until this point, and he's only 20 years of age. I first got talking to Israel at the Morton Games last week or 2 weeks ago. After his 100 meters second place in the Morton Games, just losing out to Andrew Robertson. I'll leave a link to my Morton Games vlog down in the description below if you want to give that a watch as well. And then I got in touch with Israel over on Instagram to ask to come onto the podcast to do a full interview, and I'm really happy with how it went and the conversation we had. Israel is a two-time senior 100-meter national champion both this year and last year, so he's a back-to-back winner. Also in 2021, he was the junior 100-meter national champion. This indoor season was absolutely crazy for Israel. He ran at the World Indoors in the 60 meters and finished fourth in his heat. For a season opener of 6 seconds 0.67, he was placed the second fastest 60 meter Irishman ever. He was also the under 23 Irish record in the 60 meters and was the fastest European runner over the 60 meters at that time in 2022. So and a lot more. Israel is a fantastic runner, and he's hoping to now be running in the European Championships this year in the 100 meters. So I just am really looking forward to seeing what will come of Israel, and he's going to be taking Irish sprinting hopefully to the next level, all going well. So make sure to keep your eye out on Israel for his future. He's racing tomorrow, the 17th of July, in the under 23 national championships. So that'll be live streamed over on Athletics Ireland's YouTube channel. So make sure to keep your eye out for Israel tomorrow as well. Really looking forward for you all to give this episode a listen. It was a great episode. I do really appreciate Israel coming onto the podcast and having a chat. Once again, I do really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Alright, lads, so we're here with Israel Olatunde for take 2 of the podcast. Now, ever since I spoke to you at the Morton Games last week, I was really looking forward to having another chat on the podcast. So if you just want to, take it away and give a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a million for having me. My name is Israel. I'm 20 years old and I'm an Irish sprinter. I specialise in the 60 and 100 metre events. I live in Dundalk, so I started athletics maybe about 6 years ago here in Dundalk, just training with my local club and my school. And things kind of just took off from there. And right now I'm in UCD, going to my final year of college.
Deadly, perfect. So obviously we know you and we've watched you kind of on the track from running, but in your early days before you got into running, were there any other sports that you're interested in?
The first kind of sport I was really interested in was football, I guess, when I was just from my brother, who was really into football, my dad as well. They both really watch football a lot, so it's kind of just natural for me to be attracted to it. So yeah, I played football a lot when I was younger, but things just didn't really work out. So I kind of stopped when I was in maybe second year of secondary school, I guess. And that's kind of when I started taking athletics a bit more seriously. And yeah, from there things just started to develop more and more, and I started taking it more and more seriously over the years.
And then once you got into running, kind of, what was the point where you knew you maybe had some natural talent, or you could take your running to the next level?
I guess when I started, that's kind of how I saw it. I just wanted to see how good I can become in the sport, really. So I guess from the very start, that's how I felt. But then, from winning my first county medal, then I won my first national medal. I got my first international in 2018 when I was 16 years old. So just different milestones, I guess, along the way, really showed me that I can kind of go far in the sport, and I just need to just keep working hard and believing in myself. And I'm really grateful for how far I've come and the journey I've been on so far.
Definitely. And kind of these milestones that you began to tick off, was that kind of early enough in your running career, and was there a period when you first began sprinting where it was a bit of a dry period where not much was happening?
Well, I guess when I first started, I was first year of secondary school, so from first year to third year of secondary school, I was just doing school athletics really. So I didn't really I didn't really achieve much during that time. But when I first joined the club doing Dalgan AC, when I was in third year of secondary school, me and my coach Jerry McCardle, we kind of started taking things a bit more seriously. And that year, I won my first county title, and then I won my first national medal. I think I was under 16s in the 200 meters. Yeah, so I remember that. I remember that fondly. And then in 2018, I got my first international at the European Under 18s. So I guess every year, like I've kind of just been progressing. I'm really grateful for that. I guess 2020 was a bit of a tough year for me. Even before COVID kicked off, I was having a tough time that indoor season. But I'm kind of thankful COVID came at that time. I think that might have been a tough year for me. So I guess it kind of came at the right time for me. So I was able to kind of take a step back and just refocus, I guess, and just really focus on my training instead of focusing on like competitions or the times I'm running. Really,
definitely. And kind of you mentioned there about your first Irish vest. You know, up until this point in your career, you've represented Ireland numerous of times on big stages. But I feel like that first time you get your first Irish vest, you know, back in 2018 for the under 18 Europeans, that must have been special for you.
oh yeah, for sure. Like it was just because like when I first started Alex, I kind of you always dream of you'll see like other athletes representing
Yeah,
Ireland. You're like, oh, I want to be there one
yeah,
day, and for it to come so quickly, you know, really meant a lot to me and my family. So I really proud of myself to have achieved that. And I didn't really perform how I wanted to at the championship, but it was definitely a great learning experience. I met so many like great people at that championship that I'm still friends with today, and yeah, it was really good, I guess, as an experience just to learn from and to grow from, I guess.
definitely. And then kind of as the years go on, you want it to become less about the experience and more about, you know, running fast and kind of getting your name out there. And like as we've seen over the years, that is definitely the way your progression is going in terms of the international stage. So that is deadly to see. And
Cheers.
but no, you did mention as well you're in a UCD running in your final year studying computer science, and obviously the talent you have and kind of the early on talent even as well, how fast you were running and the standard you were running at early on. You know, was there ever a case where you were thinking about heading over to America on a scholarship, or was your heart always set in Ireland?
I guess when I was in sixth year, I was kind of mainly focused on TCU and UCD. I didn't really, because I was still fairly new to the sport, I didn't really know that there was even an option to go to
Yeah,
America on a scholarship. So it wasn't really something I kind of looked into at all, to be honest. But since then, it is an option I've been looking at, and I've been getting a little bit of interest. So it's definitely something I'll consider maybe for a master's or in the future, for sure.
definitely. So kind of head over to somewhere in America as get a master in computer science. Is there anything kind of on the cards at the moment?
Um, Nothing that I can share really, but it's definitely something I'm looking to. I'll definitely finish my degree here. I still have one more year left in UCD, so I'll definitely finish my degree here, and then I'm just gonna keep my options open, whether that's America or anywhere else. If it's here, I just want to make the right choice that's gonna help me develop in my career and also my academics as well, I
And are
guess.
you on
So
a UCD scholarship at the moment?
yeah, I'm on the Ad Astra scholarship in UCD, so that's a really good scholarship. It's like it just puts you in a really great environment around other great athletes, and you get a lot of support from UCD. So I'm really grateful for that.
Deadly. And even as we've spoken about on the podcast before in other episodes, America definitely isn't the kind of be all and end all of running. And I suppose you yourself are a prime example of that. I know, over in America there are a lot of great runners, and the standard is very very high, especially in comparison to running over here. But you're a two-time senior 100-meter national champion, and you represented Ireland in the world indoor, so it just shows that heading over to America or not, you can still, get to the highest level training over here in Ireland.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's not like I feel like people just like see America and like, oh, I have to go there. But I think you have to look at what's like best for you, as in like everyone's different, and even if you do go to America, it's not really just about going to America. You have to find the right fit, the right coach, the right school, the right like town or city or whatever. And sometimes when you're just exploring those options, you might realize that maybe that's not the right
Yeah,
thing for me. Maybe staying in Ireland's for me. Maybe going somewhere else, a different country or something like that, is the right thing for me. So I think not just I think for maybe any athletes are like looking exploring different options right now. I think just like maybe just take a step back
Yeah.
and just like trying to see what's like actually best for you. You know, other things might work for other people, but it might not work for you. So, um, yeah.
Definitely, no, 100%. You're right in what you say. That actually, really think it through, because people getting these opportunities to go over to America, and it is great, but if you really sit down and think about it, maybe it isn't the best option for you. But if you were to kind of go back to your first year of college, and going over to America was on the cards, thinking back now, do you think you would have taken that opportunity?
It depends. Honestly, probably not, to be honest, because like if I knew everything I knew then, I probably not, because how like how well
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
has
yeah.
gone, I guess, for me. And with because I have a really great coach, Daniel Kilgallen. I have a great group of guys I train with, and there's just so much I can get out of training here in Ireland that I probably wouldn't have been ready to make that jump back then. But I think maybe in the next year or two, I would be able to make that jump, even whether that's to a college in America or to a professional group. But over the last 4 years, it's really been great training with all these. Like I train with the the best sprinters in Ireland. So what else can you really
True,
ask
yeah.
for? I have a really great coach, and he offers a lot of support. So yeah, if I had to go back, I probably wouldn't change a thing, to be
True.
honest.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Thinking like
For sure.
everything that you've achieved up until this point, there'd probably been no reason to head over to America in terms of the success you've received. Maybe for other reasons, going over on a master, just for the experience, and the high caliber races, in terms of where you are in your current career. But looking back at the start of your first year in college, there would have really been no point in comparison to where you are today. But then kind of focusing in on your UCD career, once that kicked off and your scholarship over in Ireland kicked off, did you see improvements in your running? Do you think UCD has really helped you to get to where you are today in your sprinting?
When I first started, it was like there definitely was improvements, but that indoor season, as I was saying before, I just had a really tough time, I guess, just because it was such a big change from what I was kind of used to in terms of my training in here in Dundalk with my former coach and my old club. It just takes time to adapt to things, really. So it was good for me that kind of because like that cool came on races that summer. I guess it just gave me time to really settle into my training and just like I guess adapt to the changes I was kind of going through with college, with my training, with everything really. And then 2021, I came out, I had a pretty good season, and then I'm still reaping the benefits this year as well. I can definitely see the improvements and the benefits of like being in UCD, training with the group down in Tala with Daniel and all the guys. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely, and that's another thing. When getting into colleges, people get older, and people start really focusing in on their running, and the quality of the training, the quality of athletes that you do be racing, you be in training, only makes you better at the end of the day. So yeah, no, you're definitely going to see improvements in your running in that sense. And then we spoke about your first Irish vest in 2018 at the under 18 Europeans, and then the following year, you made that jump to the European Youth Olympic Festival in 2019. So, comparing that to your first ever Irish experience, what was that like?
Yeah, like I kind of went into it with a little bit more confidence, I guess. I kind of knew what it was like to compete against. It was mostly the same guys I competed against the year before, so I kind of knew what to expect. Just from the championship in general, just from going to a different country, I knew different things, how to prepare a bit better, and yeah, it was really good experience. I still wasn't the best of competitions, I guess, performance wise, but uh, I was still learning. Obviously, I wasn't at the time. I wasn't a veteran. I'm still not a veteran right now, but just about learning, just learning process, I guess. Like, but definitely, I definitely was a bit more prepared, a bit more mature, I guess, the following year. But I'm still learning. I'm still growing, even to this day. So.
Definitely, no. That's even kind of a point I want to touch on. How old are you? 19 now? Just turned 19 this year.
No, I'm 20. I turned 20 a couple months
Couple
ago.
months, yeah,
Yeah.
and like even at that, running 20 years old in the in races like the indoor worlds and stuff, in your early on career, even in 2021, running in the senior Europeans, that's like you're coming up against athletes who are competing for their country year in year out, and who
Mhm.
have that experience. So you're even win, lose or draw, you're gonna come away with each event with more experience, and then jumping into the realm of the senior European indoors in 2021. Was that your first senior international competition?
Yeah, it was. It was really that was a really cool experience. Even there were loads of restrictions with COVID and stuff, but I think that was a really valuable experience. It's a bit weird because like you kind of see all these guys in like racing against in diamond leagues and stuff like that, and then like you're there in the call room sitting with them. Like I was like, what is going on? How have I gotten here? Like I remember I had Jan Volko in my heat, and like he was a European champion from 2 years before in the 60 meters, and I remember just looking over at him, like giving him a side eye, like, "Oh my god, I'm sitting beside this guy." He gave me a fist bump and everything. I was like, "Oh damn,
Deadly.
this is crazy." But yeah, it kind of just made me realize that, like, even though I still have a long way to go, I still belong,
Yeah.
at the top with the best guys in Europe, and hopefully one day with the best guys in the world. So definitely was a great experience. It was humbling, I guess, but it still made me realize, I can be competing with these guys. There's no reason why I shouldn't be competing at these stages for the next 10, 15 years.
Definitely, and like since then, and even that experience itself, competing against senior lads, and even at your age, maybe like you still are in that, you're still in that kind of under 20 age group. Coming back and competing and training with athletes your own age. Not to be arrogant or whatever, but your confidence must be. It must be through the roof in comparison to your competitors after racing against the best European athletes, senior European athletes in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think, with all these championships and all, like it'd be silly to come out of it without like having learned something,
Exactly.
So after all these championships, I'm always learning. I think I've been becoming more mature in my racing and just my preparation, I guess. Just from watching the guys how they go about uh, their things. Even not just guys who I compete against, even just the other Irish athletes in the team. I learned so much from them. I remember in 2021 on the team there was Leon Reed, Dean Adams. I talked to those guys a lot. They gave me so much great advice. And in just this past indoor season at the World Indoors, I spent a lot of time with loads of the guys like Dara McElhenney and all,
Yeah.
and like they just learning from them and just talking to them. It gives you loads of just like things you can kind of apply to your own career, I guess. And like a lot of guys my age wouldn't have that opportunity. So I make sure to take advantage of it and be grateful for it and to use it as much as I can, really.
Definitely no. Taking experience away and new knowledge away from races is just, especially in a young athlete's career, is just as important as taking away medals or taking away PBs. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And no, 100% that will stand with you as you go up the ranks in terms of your racing. But kind of in terms of, obviously, then this year in the indoors, running in the world indoors, standing on the starting line and in the blocks with athletes that you've watched on the telly, or athletes that you follow on Instagram, or that you look up to. Kind of what's going through your head when you look to your right and you look to your left, and you're in the call room and you see these athletes. Kind of how are you trying to relax yourself before going out and racing these guys?
I guess the year in 2021 at the Europeans, a bit more starstruck, but I feel like this past year, I think I handled it pretty well. I saw Coleman in the warm up area, I saw Jacobs, I saw all these guys, and like that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm here to compete against these guys. Obviously, they're the top guys, but I'm here to compete as well and to do my thing. So yeah, maybe I was watching them a little bit, just seeing what they're doing, I guess. But at the same time, I was focused on myself, and I knew I was there to do a job and to compete. I think I did compete pretty well, so it just didn't really work out for me. But it was definitely a great experience, and yeah, just made me realize, I'm here to compete with these guys. There's no reason why I can't. Um, they're not aliens or superhuman. They're just guys that
Exactly.
they're just guys that put in the work over the years, and I'm gonna do the same and try to be better than them one day.
Definitely, and kind of on the topic of coming away from events like the indoor Europeans in 2021, the confidence and the knowledge that you gained from that event followed you then into the outdoor season in 2021, where you became both the
Mm.
junior and senior national champion over the 100 meters. So do you think them big caliber races before the nationals really stood with you then to get the titles?
Yeah, I think for sure. Yeah, like I think again, just maturing through these races and kind of just building my own confidence. I guess coming into the 100 meters at the outdoors in 2021. I wasn't the fastest on paper, and I lost to some of the guys earlier in the season. But just from being at those different championships, you kind of just realize, it's not really about the times you're coming in with. It's just about competing. That's one thing I can be learning over the years. It's not really about times are obviously it's great to run fast, but at the end of the day, when you get on the start line, it's just you against the other
Exactly.
guys. It doesn't matter what you've done before, who can be the best on the day. And that's the kind of mentality I took into the outdoor national championship in 2021. I just we're all here to compete. Let's go get it. And I was grateful to come out with the win.
100%. And I think those guys on the starting line for the nationals, especially the senior athletes, and they have an 18, 19-year-old guy rocking up who just competed at the indoor Europeans. They might be feeling the pressure then to maybe their ego is high and they're thinking, God, I can't lose to this guy. And then you turn around and you grab the win. And then after the claiming the junior title, was the senior title always on the cards in 2021?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like me and my coach, we knew that we were in shape to be a threat, but at the same time, you can't really take anything for granted. There were loads of fast guys. Stephen Gaffney, there's Conor Murray, Colin Doyle, Joseph Adjurumi, my training partner. All those guys, they're always going to be there to compete, and just have to give my all and see what I could come out with. And I was grateful to come out with the win. I think those experiences kind of earlier in the season really helped me, I guess, in that situation. Again, just going out there and competing. It's not really about, can't really think too much about what people have done in the past. It's just about what you can do in the day. So
exactly. And then you came away with your first ever senior national title. Obviously, getting the double that year is an achievement in its own. But just like we were talking about your first Irish Fest, your first ever national title, kind of what is that feeling like?
Oh, I still can't really explain the feeling of a national title. You just can't really beat it, to be honest. Because just being the champion of your country just makes me it's this really proud feeling. And again, I remember when I crossed the line, I just had flashbacks to when I was younger. Just watching the guys like Marcus Lawler and all win their national titles and stuff. It's just really a great feeling to think back to how far I've come, I guess. I took up a title at such a young age. It really meant a lot to me. So.
No, 100%. Kind of when you cross the line, or kind of when the adrenaline kind of shuts down a little bit, and you kind of put it into terms that you are the fastest man in the country that year. It must be kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty just strange, I remember seeing different news articles of fastest man in Ireland. I was like, all right, that's strange, but it's cool, I guess. But at the same time, you can't really take things for granted. There's always going to be guys coming up and trying to challenge you, so you can't really be too complacent even after winning a national title. I remember later that summer, I still got beaten by some Irish guys, later in the summer. So you can't really take things for granted. So you have to. It's a great feeling, but at the same time, you have to kind of not move on, but focus on what's next, really.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of celebrate for a bit, and then kind of get focused again and see what's on the cards for the rest of the season. And that same season, you went to the under-20 European outdoor championships and finished 10th overall. So that must have been another great experience. How were you feeling coming off a national title, being a junior athlete, and winning the senior national title, being crowned the fastest man in Ireland, going into them European championships? You must have been feeling pretty good. And then coming out with 10th overall, how were you with that result?
After I was feeling really pretty good. I was excited to go out there and compete at the Europeans, back in my age group, and I had the intentions of making the final and even seeing if I can challenge for a medal, but things just didn't really work out. But it definitely was a great learning curve, I guess, for me. I didn't really handle. I was disappointed in my performance, but I didn't really handle it that well. After I was pretty down on myself, and it took me a few weeks to kind of bounce back. My coach was a great help, and my mentor, my former coach, Jerry Mercado, they really helped me through that process. And I really learned a lot, kind of how to handle disappointment, really. I felt in the past I haven't really handled disappointment as well as I probably could have. But again, just a learning process, really. But it was definitely a great experience and a great championship to be a part of. Racing against the fastest guys in Europe, your age, is a great experience, and it's definitely something I learned from, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I feel like before this year, before 2022, you had some amazing, amazing wins and competing in some amazing races. But would it be fair to say that this year's indoors was maybe the best, part of your career up until this point?
Yeah, I think I think that's pretty fair to say. You know, yeah, definitely for sure. I think just we put in a lot of quality work in the winter, and we knew we're setting ourselves up for a good indoor season, and hopefully a good outdoor season. But obviously, first we have to focus on indoors. So um, yeah, just coming out and running fast. It's always great to run fast.
Definitely.
Especially in your first race. I came out with 6.67 seconds, which was a national under 23 record. And like from there, I just knew like it can only be up from here. And I was getting faster week in week out. I got to compete with some like the best guys in Europe as well. I was at the World Indoor Tour in Metz, so that was a great experience as well. I competed at the DNA meet in Glasgow. That was really cool. And then to also pick up another national title felt really good. So yeah, it definitely was. This indoor season was definitely a highlight in my career so far.
100%. Like as you mentioned, a 6.67 in the indoor 60 meters, putting you and saying that was your opening 60 meters of the indoor season. So it's been a year since 2021 to 2022 since you ran the 60 meters indoors, and you bang out a 6.67. At the time, you were the under 23 leader. You were the national under 23 record holder, the second fastest 60 meter runner in Ireland of all time. So kind of going into the rest of the season, that must have had your confidence on a pedestal, and then anything challenging from there, you could just take it head on.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. It's also gonna give you confidence when you run fast and you beat other fast guys, for sure. But like that, I remember that day I false started in my first race, because it was in the National League, so there's two races. So I false started in my first race. I came back and I got the 6.67, but that kind of false start kind of carried on with me even to this day. Really, just me being kind of scared, I guess, at the start. Just I'm always like thinking about, I hope I don't false start again.
Yeah.
So that's not a hurdle I have to overcome. My starts were a bit sluggish, I guess, during indoors, and kind of carried on into outdoors as well. So that's something I'm still trying to overcome. But yeah, like it's funny because like other people might not realize that's something I was struggling with. After you see me running all these fast times, but even in all like the success and good things, there is like always hurdles to overcome. But it's still something I'm trying to figure out. But I'll get there for sure.
100%. And with that second fastest 60 meters of all time, next indoor season, is that a goal of yours? To become the fastest 60 meter Irishman of all time?
I think that for sure. Like I think if I with the goals I have, I just want to become the best athlete I can become, and I think along the way, I think it will happen. I think I will become hopefully the fastest 60 meter sprinter, the fastest 100 meter sprinter, and maybe even the two. I just want to see how far I can go in the sport, and I think those kind of goals will come along the way for sure.
Kind of on the note of the 200 meter, kind of how is that event for you? Obviously, from the times and the races you've ran in the 60 and 100, we can clearly see you're a very, very talented athlete in that field. But then in terms of the 200, kind of how does that fit into your training or racing schedule?
Yeah, well, the 200, I can have like a love-hate relationship with it. I do enjoy running it, but I don't really get to run it that often, really, because I'm kind of so focused on the 60 or the 100. My first ever medal at national level was in the 200 meters at the under 16s in 2017. So I remember that fondly. But yeah, since then it's kind of been a love-hate relationship, as I said. This season I haven't run any 200s. I don't know if I'll run one this season, or maybe I'll run one next year. But I think for now I'm really focused on the 60 and the 100, and I think maybe later in a year or two I can maybe focus on the two and run some fast times.
I mean, like me myself, I'm a middle to distance athlete, so like I kind of know how each event, from 1500 all the way up to 10k, how they change from athlete to athlete. Is that kind of the same then in terms of sprinting between the 60, 100 and 200? Is it nearly a completely different sport? Is it nearly a completely different way of running, working your way up through the 60, 100 and 200? Different kind of training and different ways of running the race, and then just the 60 and the 100 suit your style much better?
Um, I think yeah, a little bit. I think the 1600 would suit my style a little bit better. But I think to be a complete sprinter, you have to be good at the 60, the one, and the two. So that's something. And if I want to kind of reach my goals, something I have to overcome eventually. But yeah, I think there is like a lot. There are very different events: the 60, the one, and the two. But I think all the great sprinters can do like all three. Some can even do all four. Fred Curley, he's the guy I look up to. I really like Fred
Yeah,
Curley. So maybe one day I definitely do want to master the 200. So I'll get there. I'll get there.
definitely. And Fred had a great 100-meter last night in the heats. It was a 9.6,
9.79. Yeah,
9.79. So he's
yeah.
definitely on paper probably the favorite in terms of this season for the world championship title. So will he be your athlete to keep your eye on?
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for him. Yeah, I think from watching the heats, like I don't think anyone can
No,
touch him. But I guess we'll see in the semi-finals and the final today. So it's a different race, I guess. Really,
100%.
you can't. Hopefully, I know he definitely won't take anything for granted, but it'll be great to watch him run. Hopefully, pick up that world title.
And no, obviously for Fred, coming from being a 400-meter specialist, does 400 fit into your racing at all, or is that an event you completely stay away from?
Yeah, I think I'll stay away from that. The 200 is a struggle enough for me, so yeah, I think I'll stick with the
That's
61 and
fair.
two. Maybe when I'm like 30 or something,
Jump
maybe
in the
I'll
four.
see. But for now, yeah. But for now, nah, I'm good. I'll leave that to the
Fair, fair.
experts. It looks too painful.
Oh
Like,
no, it is a really really tough event. Just from doing 400-meter reps, on the track and training,
mm.
I know it's a really really cruel event. So it's no, especially compared to the 60 and 100, it's completely
mm.
different style of running. So no, just as I said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Stick to what you're used to. But no.
For sure.
Last night, we also got a new under 20 world record in the 100
Mm.
meters. So that could, just looking at that and seeing how fast these guys that are your age that are running, does that kind of inspire you then to go out and work even harder to get to that level as well?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I was rooting for him to Tobago, the Botswana. Yeah, I think it was really cool to see him compete like on the world stage. Like it definitely does like
Yeah.
motivate you. Like seeing guys younger than you or your age competing at this stage. So yeah, for sure, it's definitely a motivation
No,
for sure.
definitely for him as well. He's in the same heat as Johan Blake, and coming away
Mm.
beating Johan Blake, who was once the world champion, and coming away with the under 20 world record. That must be a great feeling, and he's definitely even excluding these world championships, an athlete for the future to be keeping your eye on, and hopefully
Mm.
as the next world championships roll around, you'll be in the same heat and hopefully
For sure.
final as him.
For sure, that's the plan. Yeah.
No, definitely, and even yourself, you've had your moments on the world stage in last year's indoor season. Kind of, that's kind of the elephant in the room at the moment to talk about that. Just before we get into it, that whole season, that qualification process to get into Worlds, because obviously excluding the Olympics, it's top competition for athletics. So to get even into the heats and even to qualify for that competition, what was that qualification process like for you in the 2022 indoor season?
Yeah, like I think coming into indoor season, we kind of had a goal. We wanted to run 6.68 in the 60 this past indoor season. I kind of exceeded that in my
In your
first
very
race. So
first
like my
race, you
coach,
ran six point six
yeah, so
seven.
yeah, yeah. So then me and my coach were like, all right, okay, we're 500s off the standard, or three, four. I can't do my maths right. Sorry, I was 400s off the standard. The standard was 6.63. So we're like, all right, let's just see how we can. Let's just see if we can get it over the next few races. So I then my next race around 6.64, which is 100th off the standard, and then I kind of was running 6.66, 6.5, 6.7 over the next few races. So and then it's kind of getting a bit close to the deadline, so we kind of just like decided to leave it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's just focus on winning national seniors. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it is what it is. We still ran a great indoor season. So then at national seniors, I kind of just jogged the heats, and I wanted to go for it in the semi-final. I ran 6.66, which was I was like, all right, maybe the standard, maybe I can't really get standard this
Yeah.
season. I might just let me just focus on winning in the final. But then I ended up running 6.62 in the final, and yeah, that's kind of how it worked really. I was really, in the final. I was just wanted to relax and just get the win firstly and just run as fast as I can. So I was really grateful to be able to come out with the standard at the last moment, really. Yeah, that was really great feeling to achieve that.
100%. What was the better feeling, knowing you got the standard for the World Championships, or coming away with the 60 meter senior national title?
Um, it was a mixture of both, really. I remember crossing the line, I saw 6.63 popped up on the clock. I was like, yes, we finally did it, and I knew I won at the same
Yeah.
time. So like, I was really hyped for that. I won my first indoor title, and then my getting qualified for for my first World Championships as well. And I got run it down to 6.62 later. So, and I knew as well that I was close to the national record. So yeah, it was just a mixture of feelings, really. But yeah, that was a really special moment for me, for sure.
No, definitely, and it's absolutely insane time, and then on top of that, becoming national champion and getting the qualification time to head over to the indoor world championships in earlier this year. That must have been absolutely a great feeling, and we will get into the world championships now. But kind of this past indoor season was quite intense in terms of racing. Obviously, you had nationals, you had all the different races you jumped into to try and get that qualification time, and you also had the dynamic new athletic indoors DNA race over in Glasgow as well, where Ireland, actually Team Ireland, did come away from the win. So what was kind of the thought process into jumping into that competition during the indoor season? Was it to try get the qualification time, or was it just something your coach put you into?
Now before the season, we saw it on the well during the winter training. We saw it on like the calendar. We like, this would be a great event to just kind of get some international racing. I think that's one thing kind of want us to get in this season. Just loads of international races. Racing against the best guys around. Not just in Ireland, but in Europe and in the world, really. So we knew this would be a great opportunity. There'll be guys from England, Spain, Portugal, Scotland as well. So we knew it'd be a great opportunity to get some good racing in. So that's kind of what we were aiming for. And we knew the track in Scotland, my coach kind of knew it wasn't the fastest
Yeah.
track, but we knew we'd get good competition and it'd be great to be put on the Irish vest again. So that's why we kind of targeted it. And it was definitely a great experience, really. I got to race against Andrew Robson, Jeremiah Zoo, some guys like I've raced in the past. So we got to race against them again. And I came out with third place in the 60 with 6.68, which I was pretty happy with. There's definitely a lot I learned from in terms of my race and how I ran the race, and I improved on those things over the next few weeks after that. So
Definitely, and at this point for that DNA race over in Glasgow, that was before the nationals. So kind of getting that qualification time was that in the back of your head, or main priority heading over into that race?
not really, yeah, because we just knew the track wasn't going to be the
Yeah.
fastest, so we just wanted to run a good race and yeah, just cut my way, like place as high as I can, really, just for the team as well. It was a team event, so just to get as much points for Ireland as I can, and I think I did that with coming in third place.
De-
The guys who came above me, Jeremiah and Andrew, they're really quality guys, so it was a good race against them for
No,
sure.
you and Andrew have quite a friendly rivalry, as even last week in the Morton Games. Obviously, he just came away with the win, but I got a chance to interview him as well after the race, and he's really, really sound lad, and obviously a quality sprinter as well.
Yeah, for sure. I remember my first time racing against him. I think that was in Luxembourg at the end of 2021. I raced him in the 100 meters, and I came out with the win then. And then he obviously came back this past indoor season. He got the win over me, and then again he got the win at the Morton Games. So, but he's a great guy. He's a class act, really. I really like, he gave me some advice, really, at the Morton Games. So yeah, it was really good, really cool to meet him again.
No, 100%. And even when I was interview him, he had nothing but good things to say about you being such a young athlete, and having such a achieved so much already, but then having a bright future. I'm sure you guys will meet each other again on the starting line. So, and hopefully you can come away with the win.
Yeah, after even the score after making 2-2. So.
No, definitely. But yeah, kind of then after becoming 60 meter national champion, running a 6.67 for your season opener, you still had the world indoor championships to look forward to for this season. So after the nationals indoors, your season was by no means over. In terms of caliber of races, it was merely just getting started. Heading over then to Belgrade for the world indoors. Heading over, at what moment did it kind of kick in that in terms of indoor racing, this is kind of the top dog and you can't get much higher than this? Were nerves high, retentions high, or were you just merely looking forward to it?
I guess when the moment that kind of kicked in, that was at World Championships, when my first time visiting the track, and just like that's the biggest like indoor track I've been at, and just getting a feel for it, and seeing all like the advertisements, Belgrade 22 World Indoor Championships, just seeing all that, I'm like, I'm really here.
Yeah.
You know, I made sure I got loads of pictures at the track, and even there was like a training day the day before at the track where you could kind of hear the starting gun, do some training on the track, and just being there. It was really packed, and just seeing all these different athletes. I'm like, yeah, you know, things. It's
Yeah.
serious now. You know, we're here to compete. So I think it was like that moment, I guess, really.
No, definitely. Kind of what before going into a race, what kind of advice can a coach give such a young athlete before going on to the world's biggest stage? What was said to you before you went out on the starting line that kind of helped you through the whole experience?
I guess before the day before, I remember my coach gave me a call, and he just told me that he's proud of me and that I've earned my spot to be here and compete with these guys. Just go out and just be relaxed and just do what I need to do. Just compete really. And that's kind of the mentality I came in with. I deserve to be here. I'm here to compete, and I feel like that's what I did. I ended up coming away. I came fourth in my heat, and only top three qualified. So I missed out on the semifinals, but I was pretty proud of myself the way. I wasn't really. I wasn't compared to the year before. I wasn't. I came in with no fear, but with a bit more confidence, and it definitely was. It was a good race, but obviously things to improve on. But I definitely was proud of myself with the result in the end. And it's definitely the things like I kind of need to work on from that race. I kind of carried out into the outdoor
Yeah.
season, and I've been working on those things since, for sure.
No, like, what is it like, running on the world's biggest stage and then coming back and running, running domestically, running within your own country? Is it can not trying to sound arrogant again, but can you tell the difference in quality between from running on a such a big international stage to then coming back and running through national heats?
Um, I guess so, but like at the end of the day, like I treat every race the same.
Y-
I think that's another thing I'm learning as well, just to treat every race the
Yeah,
same, really, because whether it's the world final or the life championships, it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
You're there to compete. You have to treat you should treat your competitors with the same respect, really. They're just here to compete the same as you. There's no reason why you should treat them any different from
exactly.
how you treat someone at the World Championship. So that's something I learned, and just even in my preparation, I just prepare for every race literally the exact same way. I do the exact same thing before every race. I warm up pretty much the same, no matter if it's for the heats of the national championships, for the heats of the World Championships. I won't do the exact same things to prepare, pretty much. Obviously, there's small things to change depending on how I'm feeling or whatever. But in terms of like the focus and the respect that I give to the competitions, I make sure I make sure it's the same.
No, 100%. And then kind of like, if as you mentioned, throughout the podcast, it all depends on the day. You know what I mean? If you go into a race, you don't respect the event, you don't respect your warm up, you don't respect the other athletes. That could just go against you, and especially in sprinting where the margins are so slim. If you do, one mishap in your warm up or in your mentality, that can really, really go against you on the day.
Yeah, for sure. And at the end of the day, I love racing, so I'm gonna take every opportunity, no matter what level
Yeah,
competition is. I'm gonna take every opportunity to take everything in and to treat it like as if it's my last race ever. I love racing, so I'm always gonna want to like just take everything in, really. So, but yeah, like even no matter what it is, like it's really important to prepare yourself as much as you can, because like just firstly to avoid injury and just to make sure you compete to the best of your abilities, really.
definitely. So, then coming into the outdoor season after such an amazing indoor season, before we get into kind of the racing stuff, in terms of training itself, between the 60 and the 100, even though it's only, I suppose, a 40 meter difference, from racing indoor to outdoor, kind of what is that shift in training like, to prepare yourself then for the 100-meter distance?
Mm, I guess you do like maybe there would be like maybe some elements of like longer like stuff like maybe for in terms of like our speed work we might do little bit longer reps, I guess. Maybe for indoors, we might be doing like flying 30s or something. For outdoors, we might do like a flying, maybe rolling 40s or something like that. Like it's not really much difference,
Yeah.
really. I guess the indoor season we kind of treat it as like still it's still part of our training for the 100. You know, the
Yeah,
100 is
yeah.
always going to be the main event. So there is like slight changes, but it's not really because of we're going to the 100. It's kind of just the way the program kind of
Okay, yeah,
progresses.
yeah, yeah.
But there is kind of like a switch, like you have to kind of make in your mind about how like you actually run the race really. Because the 60, you know, you kind of like have to get up to your top speed a bit
Yeah.
quicker. It's a bit more fast and furious,
Yeah.
you know. But with the 100, you have to be a bit more patient, I guess, and that's something I've been working on. Before like maybe I get out really quick in the 100, and I kind of die off in the second half of the race. But I'm learning to kind of distribute myself a bit better over the race and finish a bit stronger. So.
No, definitely no. Like in comparison to a switch from cross country to track season for
Mm,
distant athletes where mileage increases, and when you come onto
yeah.
track, you kind of start doing shorter stuff, faster stuff. But kind of just for you from the transition to 60 to 100, it's not a direct transition. It's just the time of year that the training program falls under is just
Mm,
kind of that's what you're following. So no, that's interesting, and that's good to know. Like I mentioned, no, even though it's just only a 40-meter distance, really, in terms of training, there's not too much that you can switch up, and if what you've been doing has been working so well for you, it's obviously working really really well. So you may as well keep it up, and then coming into this year's 100-meter senior national championships, there was no junior championship title on the line this year, so you unfortunately retain that, but the senior one, the kind of the big dog for all senior athletes is the senior national title. Coming into it, trying to retain that title, and as well being a young athlete, did you feel any added pressure to come in and retain the 100-meter national title?
Um, I guess maybe there was, but I don't really. I didn't really like feel it that much. It's a different. It was a different feeling kind of coming into this national championships compared to last year. You know, last year there was really no one was really talking about me like to kind of win. I guess there's loads of guys kind of in the same kind of category. I guess loads of guys running fast. But this year I was kind of a bit more of a standout performer from this past outdoor season. So I guess it was kind of expected for me to win. But at the same time, just knowing that there's loads of guys, gunning for me, even though like I was the fastest coming in, knowing that there's loads of guys that if I slip up, they're gonna come pick up the pieces.
Exactly.
That kind of made me, I guess, focus up, I guess, and not take for granted. My training partner Joseph Olatunde, he came second at the national indoors and came second again at the outdoors. So I knew from watching him in training that he was ready to go. So I'd have to be ready to go
Yeah.
as well. It's great having like the second fastest guy as your training partner. So it's gonna push you to go faster and just to never take anything for granted, really.
Oh, 100%. And then you came away with that win. That in comparison to your first senior national title, is a senior national title a senior national title. It doesn't matter if it's your first one or your 100th one. It's all just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like this one felt almost like even more felt like better than the first time around. I don't know. I think maybe just the whole build up and my whole journey over the last 12 months really just made this one feel extra special. Yeah, it was just a great feeling to cross the line and be a national champion. Especially like to do it in Morton Stadium and before it got renovated.
Yeah.
It felt really good, and to have the fans like loads of supporters and Irish fans watching, that felt really good as well. And some of my family were there and friends, so it was really a great feeling.
Definitely was kind of a sense where like it was maybe a bit of justification, after your first national title in 2021. People might have been like a bit skeptical in the sense that you're such a young athlete, but this year it kind of just showed how good you really are and that you're meant to be running on the stage that you are running. So it was a bit of justification for yourself and for your own running.
Yeah, I guess so. Like it's always winning a national title is never easy, but to do it like 2 years in a row, like that's like it's impressive. To I just have to say how it is. I think it's impressive to win back-to-back
Oh,
national
definitely.
titles, and I think hopefully I can keep doing it over for the next few years. But um, yeah, for sure, it was definitely a great feeling, and it kind of made me realize, like I am, meant to be here, and I am, one of the best this country has to offer in terms of the sprints. So, um, yeah, it definitely was. Again, it's just another piece of the puzzle, I guess, another part of the journey, and I'm looking forward to, building on it and just seeing how far I can go.
100%. No, being as young as you are and everything that you've already achieved, you can only imagine there's still a lot more to come. And kind of on the topic of that, this coming into this track season, was the Worlds on the cards? I know you mentioned to me that you're gunning for the Europeans, but obviously the Worlds are on at the moment. Were they on the cards after having an appearance at the World Indoors?
I'll be honest, not really, to be honest. Um, I just I kind of I feel like you just have to take things step by step. Really, I think when for my in terms of my 60 meters, first I qualified for a European indoors, then there was a world indoors. Outdoors and 100 meters, I'm treating it the same way. My first task is to qualify for a European outdoor championships, and then we can start focusing on the world outdoor championships. You can't really get too caught up with
Yeah.
things. Just because you run fast indoors doesn't mean you're gonna run fast outdoors 100 meters. You just have to prove yourself, I guess. But yeah, I think coming to outdoor season, my main goal was the Europeans. The world, I was a bit. I did keep an eye on my ranking and seeing where I was, but I just knew it would take a little bit more to get to a world championship. So that's definitely something that I'm gonna keep working on, and I know I can get there. Whether that's next year or 2025, I know it's gonna come eventually.
No, 100%. Then we'll be definitely looking forward to seeing you on the world stage once again. But then in terms of your qualification process to this year's Europeans, what's that looking like?
Yeah, it's been a bit. It's been interesting. Having to. It's my first time. Like using the rankings, I guess. So I've been keeping my eye on the rankings. With the different competitions I'm entering, I'm always seeing which competition gives good ranking points and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting experience so far. It's a bit nerve wracking, because right now, for the Europeans, only 36 athletes compete. I'm in the 36th spot right now, so um, I'm hoping I don't get past that, but I think I should be grand. I race again tomorrow, and I race in the AI Games next week. So we'll see what happens. See if I can improve my ranking. But yeah, we'll just see how things go.
Exactly, no, fingers crossed. And kind of being an athlete who has so much more racing ahead of him, and he's already achieved so much up until this point. But being young and having so much more racing left, in the bag, is he kind of a little bit relaxed in the sense where, oh yeah, wasn't in this year's World Championships, but still only 20 years old, and there's World Championships coming up. You can kind of just take every race as it comes and run as fast as you can in every race, and then kind of whatever happens. You still have a long way to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to get caught up in things and think, you have to achieve everything this season, but you have to put things in perspective. I'm still young enough. I still have time. I'm in this for the long run, hopefully. So yeah, I think just not getting to just not looking too much at the the smaller print. Maybe looking at the bigger picture every now and
Yeah,
then. Just seeing how far. And looking back as well. It's also important to look back and see how far you've come, and then that kind of gives you motivation to look to the future and just keep going. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
exactly.
In terms of your career, I guess. I'll never do a marathon, by the way. But yeah, I'll just focusing on things in the long run, not just in the short term,
We'll
really.
have to get you to the 400 before we get you into the
Oh,
marathon.
not a chance. Not a chance. Not a
It's like,
I used to do multi. I used to do multi
oh
events
yeah, you
actually
were
when I first
saying
started. Yeah. Um. So yeah, I've done the 800 before. I've done a few 800s
that's a
actually,
cruel event
because
though.
I remember um I did there's a few events just going on in Louth, and I just hopped in the 800 a couple times, and yeah, it was just
Yeah,
terrible. I think my PB is 224 or something. I'm proud of it.
yeah,
It's
no,
not it's not
solid,
good,
yeah,
but I'm proud of it for completing it. That was when I
for
was
completing
what,
it.
615.
Yeah.
So I might have walked across the line, but I got
You
it
still
done.
got
That's
it
what
done.
matters.
No,
But,
exactly. But
yeah.
those days are in the past. It's about
Oh
the
yeah.
60 and the 100 now. But no, you never know, as your as Fred Curley even shown us, from the 4 to the 100. So never say never, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, then for the rest of your season, with racing within Ireland, kind of how is that looking?
Yeah, I have the under 23 championships tomorrow, and then the AI Games next Sunday. So those are my last two races in Ireland. I'll be racing in Luxembourg on the 31st of July, I think. Hopefully that's all building up to the European Championships in Munich on the 15th of August.
Exactly. Get a few more ranking points on the board. Hopefully,
Yeah,
make your way up.
yeah, for sure. That's the plan over the next couple of weeks.
Definitely, no, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out. Obviously, with the under 23 championships this weekend, we'll be watching it, and then we'll be cheering you on in the European. So really looking forward to that. But no, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode, Israel. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on and have a chat. It's been great, kind of just looking through your career up until this point, and even though you have such a long way to go, you've already achieved so much. But I do really appreciate you once again coming on and having a chat.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Killian, for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun chatting to you too.
No worries at all. And now hopefully I'll get to pick up another little post race interview after some more races that I'm out at. So fingers crossed. And as well, for everyone watching and listening at home, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.